On today's primetime local news, RCMP are investigating a fatal shooting that occurred late Friday night with one person dead. And City Council is weighing options on how to improve the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center. Plus, the Battle of the Border event brought out boxers of all ages to duke it out for the championship belt.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Lloydminster RCMP and the Major Crime Unit are currently investigating a shooting that took place Friday night around 7 p.m. where one man was shot and killed. Central Suites Hotel, located on 50th Avenue and 49th Street, had an increased police presence Friday night and Saturday morning. The RCMP do not believe the shooting is random at this time.
Our Lloydminster RCMP detachment, along with our RCMP Major Crimes Unit, still continue to investigate. With these types of investigations, the RCMP Major Crimes Unit does take over carriage, but they do seek assistance or gain assistance with the local detachment, in this case Lloydminster.
The RCMP are currently looking for any information the public may have on the shooting.
We haven't spoke to that was possibly in the area around 7 o'clock on 50th Avenue and 49th Street that may have seen anything that's suspicious in nature, that hasn't contacted us or spoken with us. We're looking to speak with them.
If you have any information, you are to contact the Lloydminster RCMP detachment. We'll have an update when more information becomes available. The city is still debating how to improve the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center's facilities since it could not be moved into the Heritage Building. One possibility is moving some of the artifacts to other places like Lakeland College while a new building is built, but some councillors would prefer renovations.
It's just like everybody else, and I just can't see reinvesting a bunch of money for a year or two in a rental property for the kind of money that is being talked about, and then tearing down the existing building, building a new one 5-10 years from now, and losing all that money that we put into that building.
Council is weighing costs on each option for the LCSC as the city has multiple buildings in need of updating.
We know we've got a wastewater treatment plant. We're looking at a fire hall. Councillor Baker brought up the library. I know it's been in the discussion. We've got the Civic Center. We've went through the list. We've got a series of buildings that we're challenged with. So prioritizing is important, but ensuring today and tomorrow is looked after, as well as trying to plan for the future, is also very important.
And reports put the cost of renovating the LCSC between $16 and $18 million. This Wednesday marks the 10th anniversary for the Lloydminster Co-op celebrating Kindness Wins in honor of Pink Shirt Day. 10% from all sales from Kindness Wins merchandise goes towards a local nonprofit that supports anti-bullying programs in schools in the community. This year, the funds will be going to Beyond Border Circle of Change organization that operates within Lloydminster Public and Catholic school divisions.
They do kindness activities, they focus on anti-bullying programming within the schools, and for us as a co-op, being local is very, very important, and investing our money locally is as important, so we're very proud of that.
Lloydminster Co-op hopes to send a message that kindness wins all year long and treating people with respect can make the world a better place. For the 10th year, some changes have been made to the merchandise, such as limited edition black t-shirts with pink screening on them.
We also partnered with the local newspaper, and they did a design contest. So the logo that you see featured on all of our Kindness Wins merchandise this year was actually designed by a local person and was voted on by our membership and was selected as the winning logo, and that's what you'll see screened on all of our merchandise this year.
If you'd like to support Kindness Wins, merchandises can be picked up at the Co-op Marketplace, the Co-op East Gas Station, and the Co-op South Gas Station. The Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce has once again partnered with local businesses to put on the 20th Annual Business Education Conference. The event will take place March 11th at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center. The half-day conference includes a breakfast and will have speeches from consultant Brenda Robinson and President of Saskatchewan Polytechnique, Larry Rose. It
used to be a slightly longer format, but nowadays we just have it as a half-day conference. and we have a strong lineup of keynote speakers and then a couple of panel discussions.
The conference is for local business owners and employees alike and gives them a chance to give experience and networking as well. This year's theme is looking at today while preparing for tomorrow.
They are talking about specific things that some very creative businesses are doing in this current climate. And we want to provide businesses, employees, and employers in Lloydminster the opportunity to learn from some of these experts about some of these trends that would help us be ready for tomorrow's expectations.
And tickets are $50 and can be purchased online on the Chamber of Commerce website. In this week's retrospect, our Abby St. John goes back to 1999 to take a look at two musical stories. The first on a musical festival and the other on a group of students performing.
Back in 1999, a music festival filled a Lloydminster Park with talented singers.
These are the sounds that will be flowing through the air around the border city for the next 2 weeks. It's the sounds of the talent that's being showcased at this year's Kiwanis-Lloydin District Music Festival, being billed as one of the largest in Saskatchewan.
We had over 800 entries this year, which is great, and they come from all different ages. We have young musicians and senior citizens as well.
Participants will be assigned to one of 5 different categories for the festival, ranging from instrumental, strings, junior piano, senior piano, and voice. Adjudicators will be assigned to each different category. They come from music-rich backgrounds, and as a result, they can be very demanding on the performances.
Also in 99, grade 4 students performed a lively concert for a large audience.
54 grade 4 students from St. Joseph's School sang, danced, and performed for an enthusiastic crowd of 50. The children chose their own groups and choreographed their own dances. They put in a month of practice time, but Thomas admits he still was a bit nervous.
I was just kind of thinking that I'd forget it, but I didn't think that, but like for a little while I did, but I just get a little nervous every time I go on the stage.
The elementary school puts on the music presentation 3 times a year. Music teacher Cherry Lloyd says the presentation enhances arts education and allows the children to give back to the community.
We do this every year because it provides the children an opportunity to show what they've learned, and it also builds community relationships with others. It's good for the children in grade 4 to interact with the senior citizens as well.
For this week's retrospect, I'm Abby St. John.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
And now for a look at your weather with our Abby St. John.
Thanks, Judy. Taking a look at our current temperatures, it is -5 here in Lloydminster. Partially cloudy skies. We've had some beautiful weather the past couple of days, and it'll continue for the next couple days here as well. Winds coming out of the west-northwest at 14 kilometers per hour, making it feel closer to -11 with that wind chill. Across Alberta, -4 out in Cold Lake, -1 in Athabasca, 0 in Whitecourt, +1 in Edson, -2 in Edmonton, Rocky Mountain House in Jasper, and -7 in Red Deer. And on the Saskatchewan side, -4 in Meadow Lake, -2 in Prince Albert, -8 in Melfort and Saskatoon, and -5 out in North Battleford. And overnight in North Battleford, the temperature will drop to -17 and fairly cloudy skies. The clouds will roll in overnight, and there is a bit of fog going to happen overnight as well, just little patches with the winds coming out of the southwest at 7 kilometers per hour, remaining that way tomorrow but switching directions to the southeast with a daytime high of -8 and a mix of sun and cloud. In Cold Lake overnight, they will also drop to -17, and fog patches will occur overnight tonight and clear up by tomorrow. The wind coming in from the northeast at 6 kilometers per hour and then picking up to 11 kilometers per hour tomorrow, coming in from the south with a fairly cloudy day and a daytime high of -5. Here in Lloydminster overnight, it will be partially cloudy with fog patches occurring overnight and into tomorrow morning. Temperature dropping to -17, and that wind will be at 9 kilometers per hour coming in from the northwest and pick up to 11 kilometers coming in from the south tomorrow with a daytime high of -9, which will feel closer to -19 with that wind chill and a low of -17. And then on Wednesday, there's about a 55% chance of some snow with a high of -1, which will feel closer to -12 and a low of -13. And then on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of +2, which will feel closer to -9 with that wind chill and a low of -7. That is a look at your 3-day forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. 2 federal research scientists have spent the last 2 years searching out wild hops varieties in the Maritimes for potential use in craft beers. Jason McCullum and Aaron Mills found more than 60 different wild-growing hop populations and subsequently planted samples at an Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada research farm near Charlottetown. McCullen says a native variety that has evolved solely in the Maritimes has shown the most potential because of the distinct aromas produced, such as melon and cucumber. Mills also says the research is now moving into a second phase where they'll have to figure out such things as the plant's yield potential and resistance to disease. And now here are your agriculture prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
Saturday night, the Lloyd X played host to Lloydminster Boxing Club's Battle at the Border. The event saw boxers of all ages duke it out for the championship belt. 38 boxers made up the card, including 7 from the border city. Competitors came out from as far as Calgary.
Oh, it's great. The more events that people have, the more people come out and it spreads the word, right? Boxing's kind of a small sport, so when you have a good turnout and a good atmosphere like this, we're there to have fun.
The Battle of the Border was a Saskatchewan boxing event. There'll be more later in the year, including one that is scheduled in Battleford. Saturday night was a busy one as the Canadian volleyball team was also in action. The Canadians took on the Lakeland Rustlers men's team as practice for their upcoming qualifier tournament. The game was also set up to spread the word about sitting volleyball.
The growth of sitting volleyball, it's still relatively young in Canada, so we still want to make sure that everyone, young athletes that may unfortunately experience an accident of some sort can still have parasport in the back of their mind.
Team Canada plays March 16th, while the Rustlers will be back in action on Thursday. And now for another look at your evening weather with our Abby St. John.
Thanks, Judy. Take a look at our satellite radar. Not nothing too severe happening. We have a bit of a chance of some snowfall on Wednesday. But other than that, for these past couple of days, it has been fairly nice and fairly clear. Just a little bit of cloud coverage, as you can see, very light clouds making its way more over here. We'll have a bit of fog patches developing overnight tonight in some regions as well. Cold Lake will also experience those fog patches, hopefully clearing up by tomorrow, so nothing too severe to worry about. Current temperatures -7 here in Lloydminster, as well as in North Battleford and St. Walburg, -2 in Macklin, -5 in Maidstone, -9 in Meadow Lake and up in Isle Cross, and -6 in Pierceland and Green Lake. And on the Alberta side, -5 in Bonnyville, Lac La Biche and Provost, -7 in Vermilion and Marwayne and St. Paul, -9 in Vegreville, -4 out in Edmonton, and -6 in Cold Lake. And tomorrow, -9 here in Lloydminster, -4 in Provost, -7 in Wainwright, -8 in Vermilion, Vegreville, St. Paul and Marwayne, -5 in Cold Lake and Edmonton, -6 in Bonnyville, and -3 up in Lac La Biche, -7 in Isle Cross on the Saskatchewan side, -5 in Green Lake and Pierceland, -6 in Meadow Lake, -10 in St. Walburg, -8 in Maidstone and North Battleford, and -4 out in Macklin. And overnight across the region, heavier cloud coverage in Meadow Lake, Isle Cross, Bonnyville, Paradise Hill, Unity, Wainwright and Provost, and then partially cloudy skies in Murnum and Pierceland. -18 in Meadow Lake and Provost, -20 in Isle Cross, -17 in Pierceland, Bonnyville, Paradise Hill and Unity, and -19 in Murnum and Wainwright for your overnight temperatures. And your school day forecast for tomorrow at 8 a.m. it'll be -17, fairly cloudy skies, and there could be a chance that there still could be a little bit of fog development. At recess time, it'll be around -14 with a little bit of sun peeking through those clouds. -11 around lunchtime with that same mix of sun and cloud. And then by the time school is out, it'll be -9 with a little bit more sun peeking through those clouds. And then over the next 7 days, a high of -9 and a low of -17 for tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, about a 55% chance of some snow with a high of -1 and a low of -13. On Thursday, a high of +2 and a low of -7 with a mix of sun and cloud. High of +2 also on Friday with partially cloudy skies and a low of -4. On Saturday, a high of +2 with a low of -9 and a 54% chance of snow. On Sunday, a fairly cloudy day with a high of -8 and a low of -11. And then on Monday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -1 and a low of -13. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more news in the question of the day coming up after the break.
It's that time for question of the day. Of course, the fatal shooting on Friday had residents concerned, and of course there were a lot of people debating whether or not crime in Lloydminster has increased. And what were your thoughts? I think, I wonder if I should say yes and no. I don't know how to say that because there's so much going on right now with Onion Lake and all of these things that are happening around Lloydminster. But crime like Fridays was crazy because it's a shooting. And you're thinking, yeah, there's a lot. It's kind of increasing in my mind. And a lot of people have been saying both things, whether it was or not, right?
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of comments saying it has increased. There's a lot of drug and gang activities here. I have only been here for a little over a year, and I too have seen a lot of it. I grew up in a place where I didn't see a whole lot of crime happening, and so coming here was kind of a shock. It is, it's in between two major cities, Edmonton, Saskatoon. And so you have this city, which is a little bit bigger than the neighboring towns. And so that's kind of the hot spot for it. And I can see why it's increasing. And it's very sad that it has increased. And Fridays was just an attest to it. I hadn't really been a part of that kind of scene before. So being there and getting the shots of what had been going on was really hard to be there.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I drove by and I saw a lot of people there, and I called you up as well too to tell you, hey, this is going on when I drove right by. I think it's a lot to do with different places in terms of Onion Lake not too long ago just declared a state of emergency for their drugs and all that stuff that was happening within their community. And they have, kicked off 5 of the houses from there, right? For that reason. Where do they go, right? Do they end up in Lloydminster? Do they end up in Battleford? Where do they go, right? They'll definitely come here, I think. And that might be a reasoning for the increase, who knows? But a lot of gang activity, of course, from here to Edmonton and Calgary and Saskatchewan.
Because you have the drugs funneling into the city. And you see that a lot in smaller towns. It's unfortunate, but those are where the hotspots are, where the larger cities are funneling their drugs into, because it's just easier because it is a smaller area, which just makes it a lot more sad.
Definitely. I mean, this conversation could go on forever and ever, but let's switch over right now to pets. Thanks for sending your pet pics for a chance to win a gift card from the Pet Pad. Here's a look.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
In studio today, joining me is Eric Bay to talk a little bit about sports, and we'll kick it off with I guess a bad story if you're a Maple Leafs fan. It's always bad enough losing 6-3, but losing to your farm team's Zamboni driver just takes that to another level.
I mean, it's probably the best story I've seen in a long time. Unbelievable, obviously. You're watching the game and 2 goalies go down. You're kind of like, what's going to happen? So you do see that emergency backup go in, and it's kind of a little bit of an excitement. And then when you do see him let in those 2 goals on the first 2 shots, it's a little bit like this could get out of hand real quick. But really, the Hurricanes buckled down there in the third for sure. A great defensive game by them. And obviously, David Ayres, he definitely stepped up there in that third period as well. But again, you talk about it embarrassing for the Leafs, and that's really the only thing that you can say about it is embarrassing. They weren't shooting the puck. Even minor hockey growing up, that's what you're told. Bad goalie, shoot the puck, anything can happen, and they only ended up mustering there those 10 shots. So really a poor performance by them all around.
Exactly like you said, minor hockey, coaches preach, get the puck on net, good things can happen. Like you said, the Maple Leafs just didn't do that. And there's been other times, this is not the first time that I guess fill-in goalie has come in and helped out a team with Scott Foster a few years back with the Chicago Blackhawks, getting a 10-shot shutout there. So I guess, Eric, the question is, which one do you choose in a do-or-die game?
I mean, I think I got to say David Ayres, he got the W and 42 years old, so he must have that longevity. He knows how to prepare his body for the NHL rigors.
Yeah, and, while he might not be a full-time NHLer, there are quite a few full-time NHLers who might be finding different homes, with it being the trade deadline today, and a couple key ones, especially for the Edmonton Oilers as of late.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Mike Green last night and just recently here today, Andreas Athanasiou, both acquired by the Oilers, and there's definitely some familiarity there. Ken Holland obviously being the GM in Detroit, but it does, I wouldn't say that I guess they're terrible moves, but it does kind of puzzle me a little bit. Obviously, Oilers looking for a defensive defenseman and pick up Mike Green, who's obviously more known for his offense than his defense, and maybe his plus-minus stats are a little skewed being on Detroit, but I do think it's a little bit interesting there getting another offensive guy, and Athanasiou, obviously decent pickup for some middle six scoring, I would say, but giving up Sam Gagner there too is kind of like, I don't know, putting in the same part that you're taking out, really.
And he had a 30-goal season, I believe this was last year. So, like you said, there is some upside there, but the plus-minus for both of those guys is something that I can't get over. I know lots of people don't like the plus-minus stat. For myself, I love it. If you're on the ice for that many more goals against, it's almost bad news. And both those guys are in the top 5 for worst plus-minus in the league. So that's something, I don't know, it could just be because Detroit, not the best team, but I guess only time will tell with that one. A couple other trades that have happened. and are really starting to pay off, especially Tyler Toffoli with the Vancouver Canucks now.
Yeah, for sure. Only played 2 games, but obviously 4 points in those 2 games, and he's really found, I guess, a bit of chemistry there on that line with Bo Horvat, and they are definitely going to need him to step up, especially when you do have those injuries like to Brock Besser. But I do like the acquisition. Obviously, the Pacific Division is kind of all over the place, not great points totals by any of those guys in that division, so it's a good move because, I mean, you never know how far you can go when you do have to play maybe 2 rounds against your own division.
And he really helped out the Canucks already, attributing to that 9-goal game for the team. A couple other big trades here have been Ilya Kovalchuk for myself. I think that's a good acquisition by the Washington Capitals, especially having some of that experience playing beside Ovi. Now, I don't know if he'll actually get on a line or on a power play unit with Ovi, but what are your thoughts on that deal?
So I think obviously Washington does have that success bringing over Russian players, and I'm sure Ovi will fit in perfectly right there. The only thing is, as you do mention, that playing time is going to be an issue. Obviously, him and Ovi both play left wing, so I only really see him fitting in maybe third line because even Jacob Vrana is having a great season there on the second line. So I think it will be tough for him to find ice time, but I do think just, I guess, mood-wise, he'll be doing fine there in Washington.
And then finally, Eric, there's been 2 trades in particular for myself, mainly Trocheck giving up a lot to get these players as, I guess, slightly more than a rental player. But what are your quick thoughts on those 2?
Yeah, Trocheck, obviously, he's got 2 more years on him, so that's okay, I think. It will even out pretty well. And then also JG Pajot, obviously, that's a lot to give up. If they can re-sign and the Islanders do make the playoffs, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell how these trades will pan out.